It's German, yeah.
Okay, so that would be WOLPERTINGER.
You get a kick out of this name. A man named Hans Fuchs. La 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 la. Sip and smoke.
Oh, baby.
Well, hello, creeps and cryptids, and welcome to the Sip and Shmoke Paranormal Podcast.
I'm Sip.
I'm Shmoke.
And we'll be your guides
Through the paranormal.
Cryptids and everything in between. So, what are we talking about today?
So, gave this a lot of thought.
Mm-hmm. I would hope so.
I was glad I didn't let you down. I was racking my brain. I was like, man, what do I really, really, really want to talk about? And what I decided was 5 cryptids not named Bigfoot.
Okay.
So I wanted to steer away from...
Okay, I actually have a question right off the bat.
Okay.
Part
1. Unless you guys completely hate this, and then, it's part nothing. But part 1.
One and done if this tanks, but if we like it. So Bigfoot is his name. That's his given name. Like, he pulls out his license and it says Bigfoot.
Actually, it says Sasquatch.
Okay, so then it would be 5 cryptids not named Sasquatch.
Well, Bigfoot is the most searched cryptid name.
Okay. All right. Continue.
Yeah. So we got 5 cryptids not named Bigfoot. That will be the title of this episode.
Okay, I'm here for it.
So to start off, I actually kind of wanted to do a little Cryptozoology 101. Kind of just talk a little bit about cryptozoology as a whole.
Okay.
So the phrase cryptozoology was actually coined in 1959. So it's a term that's been around for a while. That by no means means cryptozoology didn't exist as a science before that, but the term cryptozoology wasn't coined until then. And it actually consists of 3 Greek words. So you got cryptos, which is hidden, zoon, which is animal,
and ology,
and logia, which is study. Sorry, the ring light is kind of blinding. So
I like going into the etymology. We should do this more often.
Well, I just thought it would be a helpful place to start. You know what I mean? We did the first episode on cryptozoology, and I was like, let's really dig deep and give people things that aren't normally talked about. So cryptozoology started off kind of weird. You know what I mean? It's kind of a fringe science, sort of like doing a YouTube channel. 10, 15 years ago, people looked at you kind of funny, right?
Yeah.
Then they kind of started to establish themselves. In 1982, they founded the ISC, which is the International Society of Cryptozoology. So they have their own, what's the word I'm looking for here?
Like the Fraternal Order of Police, but for cryptozoologists.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of...
The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, but with cryptozoology. So,
as I said, they kind of started fringe and worked their way into notoriety.
Okay.
They started to get more and more recognition as more and more things that kind of fell as these myths started to be discovered. So just as a few examples, of things that were thought to be cryptids and then were found and kind of helped add to the providence, so to speak, of the actual field.
Okay.
Are things like you got the giant squid, you have the Okapi.
Okay.
You've got Kupris, the Komodo dragon, as well, was once just a cryptid.
Okay. Didn't you say before that actually kangaroos were at one point considered cryptids?
Yep.
That's interesting.
So for the sake of this, I did leave them out of this list, just to not, return old bridges. But yes, kangaroos were at one point considered. This is the coelacanth.
Coelacanth?
Coelacanth.
Canth. Okay, if from far away, that actually kind of looks like a corn on the cob. I mean, even close up, its body definitely looks like a raw corn cob.
The giant panda at one time was considered a cryptid, not proven to exist. A lot of species of gorilla were proven to be existing after, again, just being like stories.
Right. Okay.
Most recent, I believe, is the Sayola, which actually, if you guys Google search it, it's an endangered species, and they are trying very hard to save it. So if you guys, want a good cause to donate to, this thing's going to be extinct.
It's about to be extinct, and I've never heard of it before.
Well, hopefully that's how everybody kind of feels, and now they can kind of go back and do their own homework, and...
We have any philanthropist viewers?
So, our first cryptid.
All right.
First cryptid is the WOLPERTINGER. Wolpertinger. You may have heard of it as the jackalope.
Okay, that picture definitely reminded me of a jackalope.
So it's got the head of a hare.
Rabbit, right?
Hare.
They're essentially the same thing.
No. Hares are typically larger than like a rabbit. So when you describe it, you want it to be accurate. It's a hare.
So a rabbit with gigantism. Gotcha.
So it's got the head of a hare. It's got antlers, the body of a squirrel, and the wings of a bird, right? Now this thing comes from German folklore. It's rumored to actually roam the alpine forest of Bavaria and Baden-Württemberg.
Okay, I didn't know it was centered in Germany. That's interesting.
Southern Germany.
Yeah.
Bavaria. Yeah. The fun thing is, it exists in different cultures. Like so.
Right.
We know it as the jackalope. In Sweden, it's skvader. And I promise I am not messing these names up. If anybody's like, that's not how you pronounce Württemberg, let me know. It's not my fault.
No, the Wolpertinger, right? Is that the German?
That's German, yeah.
Okay, so that would be Wolpertinger. German W's are pronounced as V's.
Wolpertinger.
Yeah.
I can
we can Americanize it a little bit.
Wolpertinger. In Austria, it's the Rougarou.
Okay.
Sadly, this one's kind of been explained. There's a virus called SPV, which is the Shope papilloma virus, which actually causes these cancerous, fibrous, antler-looking things to grow off of rabbits, hares, that family exclusively.
Okay, now see, that's interesting because I didn't realize that papillomavirus was interspecies, I guess is the right word. Because HPV is human papillomavirus.
Right.
I didn't realize that there were other animals that could get a form of papillomavirus. That's interesting.
Yeah, and this one causes these
antler. Yeah.
Carinitinous carcinomas is the proper term.
Now, should I correct you?
Sure.
Keratinous. It's keratin. It's
keratinous.
Yeah.
But it would be keratin if it was singular. If it wasn't us.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But you said the next word right.
Just a fun fact, just to end on the family, the genus name or whatever is leporids. So hares and rabbits belong to leporids.
Okay, now so that the SPV explains the quote antlers. What is there an explanation for the wings?
No, that's really just kind of urban legend, or not urban legend, but folklore legend. Kind of probably just.
Yeah, I mean, centuries of the telephone game are gonna, of course, things are gonna be skewed. Excuse me.
The Wolpertinger.
Good, that one was good. Good
actually
accent.
did appear in the Witcher game franchise.
Okay.
As wildlife creature that you could fuck up, I guess.
Okay.
So had its place in modern media, so to speak.
Okay.
Next up, we've got Tatzelwurm.
Tatzelwurm.
Tatzelwurm. So Tatzelwurm is like a stubby lizard cat with like a snake body.
I want one as a pet.
Yeah, and while we're on media, it actually was in God of War.
Okay.
They're pretty ferocious looking.
Yeah.
Known to attack, mostly Swedish. That's it in God of War. It's known to have poisonous breath.
Okay.
So not only will it fuck you up physically,
Right.
it will fuck you up if it gets close enough and just breathes on you.
Okay.
It's known to inhabit most parts of the Alps. They've been known to be about 1 to 7 feet long. For the Swiss, it's known as the Stahlenwurm, which actually translates to tunnel worm or dragon of mine tunnels.
Dragon of mind tunnels?
Mine.
Okay.
Like
Mine.
mining.
Right.
Um,
But even still, that's like a fucking metal name. Right? Like, the Mine Tunnel Dragon? Like, next death metal band? Like,
Dragon of mine tunnels, not dragon worm or worm dragon.
Alright, Dragon of Mine Tunnels.
But sightings go all the way back to 1680 in Switzerland. In 1779, you'll get a kick out of this name. A man named Hans Fuchs saw two and described them as being 5 to 7 feet with a serpent body, 2 front clawed legs, and large feline head. And he actually died of a heart attack after seeing this fucking thing.
Okay.
Like,
Should be telling that it's most likely pronounced Fuchs. I'm assuming it's Fuchs.
yes.
Yeah, that's typically pronounced Fuchs.
Well, if it was Fuchs, I would think it'd be like F-E-U-X.
Well,
So-
you're thinking from American.
Hans Fuchs
Yes, he does.
saw 2 Tatzelwurms. There's also been known to be 2 different types. Your more common one is just all black.
Okay.
There's also a white one, which is has a crown, like a crescent crown in its head, almost like a goddamn Pokemon or some shit.
Right. You said, and there's a white. The way you said it, I'm like, oh, okay. Is that like a shiny Vulpix?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Exactly. Well, they're rumored to be the female, like the
Okay. Matriarch.
the queen, like so to speak, of the hive. Like there's not a lot of them.
Right.
They're just used to reproduce, and predominantly males are black. So that's number 2.
Okay.
Number 3 is actually pretty cool. And please, let me know in the comments if you've heard of these, if you haven't heard of these, and also take a quick second just to say thank you. I think we're over, 300 subscribers at this point.
Yeah.
And the love that's been shown has been fantastic, so we appreciate you guys signing up. We appreciate you subscribing, giving the likes. We appreciate all of it.
Be sure to give us a follow on Spotify and those things now, because we're actually up on most podcast streaming services now. So I mean, we're growing, and we couldn't be doing it without you guys. So
we're
thank
on
you.
Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio.
Oh, did Apple finally come through?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, your boy does some wonderful things behind the scenes.
Yeah.
All right, so next up, we actually have the most beautiful cryptid you'll ever see.
Well, that's debatable. I've seen some sexy mermaids.
Hey, Charlotte.
Sip.
Hey, Sip.
Stage names.
Hey, Sip.
Yes, Shmoke.
Shut the fuck up. So the most beautiful cryptid you will ever see anywhere.
Anywhere, ever.
Ever. Is a blue tiger. also known as the Maltese tiger.
Now, see, I've heard of a Maltese tiger, but never in the vein of cryptozoology.
Well, it hasn't ever been proven to be
okay
in existence. So there's it's actually a really interesting topic because it wouldn't be classified as its own species. It would be a subspecies. And this is actually a species that we've started to find these variants in quite often. So it'll only be a matter of time until we discover this, and I cannot wait to lay eyes on one of these bad boys. They are mostly sighted in the Fujian province of China. It's believed to be not a new species, but a coloration morph is what they call it. It's known to have blue fur with dark gray stripes, and its first spotting goes all the way back to 1910.
Okay.
An American missionary named Harry Caldwell actually found it, or cited it, reported it. So, an American in China
yeah.
was
Go figure.
right. Yeah. Black tigers started off as just a rumor. They now exist. Things like Russian blue cats have this color variation. The British blue, also another kind of house cat variation, or just a feline that has this variation. Both bobcats and lynxes are both known to have this blue variation.
Okay.
So it's only a matter of time until the blue tiger is actually found. Hopefully, it's a species that we can preserve. And
yeah. Well, I mean, I've had a blue Russian cat, and those things are absolutely gorgeous. So that might lend some credence to your most beautiful thing in the world.
Russian blue, not blue Russian.
Well, I had always heard it as blue Russian. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Let me pass you some information.
Well, to be fair, the person who told it to me, was not the brightest bulb in she wasn't really playing with a full deck. So.
I think Monk over at my parents' house is actually a blue Russian.
Okay.
A Russian blue.
So blue Russian?
Now you got me all fucked up. All right. Excuse me. Number 4 is the Rougarou.
Oh, okay. Now this, I know a bit about the Rougarou. I do. There was actually a show, which maybe we can make a little mini series out of kind of our your live reaction to the show, because I was I watched it religiously. It was literally called Cryptids.
Okay.
And it was only 1 season long, and it was
like on the History Channel or some shit?
Discovery, I think.
Okay.
And it was probably about a decade ago. It was definitely within the last decade. But it's these guys in the swamps in Louisiana.
Oh, Lord.
And they're hunting for a Rougarou.
Is it like mountain men or mountain monsters?
Well, I've never seen mountain monsters, but I know...
A bunch of hillbillies fucking out there. Goddamn, get the goddamn...
No, there's only one swamp person, but he was amazing. Loved that guy. Excuse me. But, I mean, it was filmed, it's filmed as a documentary. And it's actually a very interesting... And that's where 90% of my knowledge from Rougarous come from. Okay. Because, that was what they were hunting.
Gotcha.
In the show. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of Rougarous.
Okay. Well, you want to share some knowledge on us?
Probably a decade since I've seen it. So I don't remember specifics. I remember, I believe they can shapeshift, they have venom, and they are murderous.
Advisory, I did not see anything about venom in my research.
Okay. Again, it's been about a decade, but...
So, Rougarou was actually started as a French story, and it was actually pronounced Loup-garou, which literally translates to man who turns into animal. So there's your shape.
Right, and actually some of the people in in the swamps of Louisiana still call it a lougarou.
Right. Well, that's its original name, and of course, it just like the WOLPERTINGER, it immigrated here.
Right.
Or WOLPERTINGER, I'm sorry. Fun fact, it actually started, so when they immigrated to what was then called New France, which is now, of course, because I'm so smart, and I totally knew this before my research.
Right.
So, ta-da! Louisiana. It's basically a werewolf, for all intents and purposes. Man turns into animal. Some stories tell of a 101-day curse where you have it for 101 days, and then after that time, you are able to transfer it to somebody else by drawing their blood. So you ain't got to kill him. You got to rough him up a little bit.
Right.
Legends say that he prowls swamps and sugarcane fields, kind of looking to, obviously, murder. He's a story that was used to kind of scare people into religious obedience back in those days. So, for example, one of the stories that I found funny was they would actually tell, like, Catholics, like, if you kind of cheat or don't participate in Lent, the lougarou is going to come get you. And then, last fun fact about, obviously a werewolf cryptid, not a whole lot there, is Cedar Point has a roller coaster named after him. So we could always take a trip up, and
Well, that would be down, wouldn't it?
My notes only say Cedar Point.
Okay.
We'd have to reconsult Google.
Fair enough.
And the last one is actually probably my favorite one on the list. Not the most beautiful, but by far the coolest. This is the Yativeo.
Yativeo.
Yes. It's also known as...
I want to say that sounds a little familiar.
It should. It should, because it's all over pop culture. So, just a couple examples of where it's kind of inspired pop culture. And I'm not as big a Harry Potter nerd as you.
Whomping Willow.
Yes, is based off of the Yativeo. The angry apple trees in The Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
Also based off of the Yativeos. So again, it's also known as the carnivorous tree, but its name actually translates to "I see you already." Ain't that some creepy shit?
Yeah.
That's like some intimidating, like that's fucked up.
On today's episode of How Fucked Up is Fucked Up.
The Yativeo. It's known to grow in Central and South America. It's known to have a short, thick trunk with long tendril-like appendages that it uses to obviously, grab its prey. In some accounts, it has an eye in the center that it just, looks at shit with, stalks its prey. And this is an 1881 description by German explorer Karl Lisch. Did I pronounce that right? It's L-I-C-H-E. Is it Licky? Is it Likey? What you got, grammar guy? Captain Grammar.
It's not, but I'm going to implore you to call him Carl Licky. So what does Carl Licky have to say?
So, Carl Licky describes... bear with me, Sip Sip. His encounter during an expedition with the Yativeo, where it attacks a young filly, which is a horse, in case. So he says, he describes it as a slender, delicate palpi with the fury of starved serpents, quivered a moment over her head. Then, as if instinct with demonic intelligence fastened upon her in sudden coils round and round her neck and arms. Then, while her awful screams and yet more awful laughter rose wildly to be instantly strangled down again into a gurgling moan, the tendrils, one after another, like great green serpents, with brutal-like energy and infernal rapidity, rose, retracted themselves, and wrapped her about in fold after fold, ever tightening with cruel swiftness and savage tenacity of anacondas fastening upon their prey.
Okay, was Carl Lickey a goddamn YA author? Like, that is like some beautifully descriptive language he used.
I just assume that's how, people wrote in 1881 back before, technology.
In Germany.
Like fucking stupefied, So, you got this hunting carnivorous plant in Central and South America that is bloodthirsty. It doesn't actually, it's not like a Venus flytrap where it completely digests you either.
Okay, see, I was going to ask if there, like, if you thought there was, like, we had spoken before we'd spoken briefly before on our philosophy behind cryptids and stuff, but, like, I was going to ask, do you think that the Yataveir specifically has, like, a potential basis in reality? Like, maybe that's a legitimate thing?
100%. 100%. I mean, you look all through, like, nature. I mean, like, these predatory plants exist.
Right.
And in untapped, like, areas, I'm sure, like, certain things.
Now, see, predatory plants... Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Like, but predatory plants exist, but not really to that, like... So, of course, in my head, I'm a big Harry Potter nerd. I'm thinking Whomping Willow, right? Nothing like that exists really in nature.
Much larger than Harry Potter, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, oh yeah, I mean, it was gigantic.
So this is a small, stumpy, like fucking, like almost, I don't want to say bush.
Gotcha.
But more of a, like, not a giant fucking tree.
Gotcha. So if that's the case, looking at this from a scientific standpoint,
yeah,
because, I mean, I like to, okay.
If I may, and you can jump back into this, I feel compelled that I have to finish telling you how it actually does its business.
Right.
So it actually, like, fucking holds its prey up, or it's known to hold its prey, like, above it, and squeeze it, and drain all of the blood out into it, and then just chuck the fucking, like...
So it uses the blood to nourish itself, essentially?
I don't even know if it, like, obviously nobody knows, but, like, I don't even think it's a nourishment thing, because what do you get out of it? Like, everything a plant gets is out of, like, photosynthesis and stuff like that, right? I mean, even a Venus flytrap still requires sunlight and water and shit like that, like...
Well, I mean, maybe it's a species of plant that...
A vampiric plant?
Maybe it's a species of plant that requires, like, iron or something else that's found in blood.
Maybe.
We
gotta find it.
This is true. Have there been any other, like, real noted sightings of it? Or no? Okay. Interesting. As much as I love the idea of, like, the Rougarou, like, I think in theory the Rougarou is actually one of my favorite cryptids overall.
Okay.
But I feel like
now, does he belong in the organic spectrum, or is he like a Fae to you? Is he more supernatural?
Oh, he's definitely more of a supernatural. I mean, he shapeshifts. He fucking... Yeah, that's... And anything that can change its form at will.
Not necessarily at will.
Okay, but even something that changes its form. Like, completely changes its form. Like, anybody can go out and get a tattoo, but like something that physically changes.
I mean, it depends. Is it like sorcery, where he's like Shang Tsung, where, like, he just, green light? Or does his body actually anamorph into... Yeah,
I was going to say, I definitely...
If it structurally changes, then I wholeheartedly disagree with you. But if it is some Shang Tsung shit, then...
Yeah, and I did
Say that 3 times fast.
Shang Tsung shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, like, I did kind of leave out the whole process of, like, metamorphosis that a lot of animals go through. Well, mostly insects go through.
I mean, a
Caterpillar
to
too,
a
yeah.
butterfly completely.
But I mean, at the same time, it to the best of my knowledge, there are no mammals that go through a metamorphosis even one way, let alone metamorphosizing into between creature and human.
You always give me something every video to do homework on.
Well, that's the thing,
I
man.
have to do the homework for the episode to actually bring you guys this information. Then he always, at the end, says some dumb shit that I have to go and research and find
to
out
be
whether
fair,
or not it's true or not. Hopefully this one's true, because last time it was false.
To be fair, I would be happy to go and do this research because, again, I think the Rougarou is
You just want to cut out the stuff from the beginning that's all going to be in. It's okay. Check that.
No, but, like, I feel like anything that changes its form like that to such a complete degree is something outside of the natural. Okay, like let's talk about the Rougarou's closest cousin, the werewolf. Like, would you consider that a natural?
Really is just a werewolf legend. Like, I mean, for the most part, like
for the most
there's
part,
no
but there are
rumor
slight
of a
differences.
Rougarou like transforming into anything else. Like, as far as I saw, like there's no Goatman Rougarou. It's always a wolf man, like always.
I thought that show had mentioned that it could change into other things.
I mean, the loose translation says just into animals.
Right.
But every account that I see of the Rougarou in the folklore and the legends is always just a werewolf, essentially.
Okay, but even a werewolf, right? Like, you yourself used the word curse. Correct?
In some stories, yeah. It's a 101-day curse, yes.
A curse isn't a natural thing. I mean, because that would lead into, do you consider witchcraft a natural thing?
It depends on what kind of witchcraft. I mean, I think that's a whole different discussion, but I think, I think witchcraft in its truest sense is a very natural, naturistic, nature worshiping.
Well, I mean, of course, it's
and everything they do involves physical things. Like it's a chemistry experiment, so to speak, when you do things, right? There's a certain formula, there's certain things that you have to do with certain other things. Like
I mean, technically, you're right there.
That hurts to you to say, doesn't it?
No, it's just I don't know, man. Like I don't. So yes, witchcraft does stem from a natural place. It uses natural energies. Excuse me, but
like we're talking like Wicca, paganism, stuff like that.
Well, Wicca and witchcraft are technically different.
Okay.
Like all Wicca falls under the umbrella of witchcraft, but not all witchcraft is Wicca. Like Wicca is to witchcraft what like Christianity is to God. You know, like Catholicism, Catholics, Christians, they believe in the same God. But they practice differently. They have their own ceremonies, rituals, whatever. Same with like Wicca, paganism, Druidism. Like they all essentially stem from nature, but they all have their own practices, their own rituals. It's not all the same thing.
Okay, so witchcraft is Judaism.
I mean,
that's what I'm picking up. Am I picking up like that? Feels like what you just put down.
For the most part, yeah.
Okay, and everything else is a sect of that.
Essentially, yeah.
Or a subcategory, subclassification.
And so, getting out of the semantics for a minute, while yes, they are dealing with natural energies, I feel like it's more that it's a manipulation in an unnatural way. Right? Because humans should not be able to use the fucking Force, right? Like,
Why?
that is not something that we naturally can do. It takes training. It's a skill.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
Like, if you existed in the Star Wars world and that was just a natural occurrence.
Well, keep in mind, I'm not super big into Star Wars, so I'm some.
But you know that like fucking young kids can have the Force and shit like that,
okay.
right? Okay, so it would be a much more like, I wouldn't say predominant. Well, in terms of now, obviously nobody has the fucking Force, but it's a much more like natural thing in that universe. So if you were raised in that universe, it would feel more natural. Just it doesn't feel natural because nobody does it. That doesn't mean it's not natural. It just means that it's not something that happens. Nobody does that on a normal basis. But it doesn't mean it's not based on some sort of normalism.
I don't know about the not. Well, that's a conversation for a whole nother fucking time. But
you sure? You want to add another one in here?
I was going to bring up my grandmother again.
No. There's a 3-episode limit on grandmother.
Hey, I only brought her up once so far.
Yeah, and now you got to wait 3 episodes before you can bring her up again.
Oh, okay, a 3 separation.
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. Look, she's an interesting bitch. I'm sorry.
You're just looking to piss everybody off in this podcast, aren't you?
Trust me, my grandmother would take that as a compliment. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like at the core, you and I just kind of have a different definition fundamentally on what entails cryptids and what.
Well, no, I think we agree on what includes cryptids.
Sorry, on what's natural.
Different reasons.
I feel like
I believe anything's possible.
Oh, well, 100%.
I mean, it could go your way, it could go my way. I mean, it's really just, I don't know. And nobody knows, true. You know what I mean? And I'm okay with that.
I'm not. I feel like I feel like we need to learn these things.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would love to learn. I'm just saying, like.
I'm not okay with not knowing.
But you have to realize that you don't know.
No, I know that I don't.
You don't have to be okay with it.
I know that I don't know, and it pisses me off that I don't know. I mean, look, I'm one of those people, like,
Calm down, Sip.
I need to understand things. Like, that's my entire raison fucking d'etre is to understand how everything works. I need to understand how this shit works. Okay? I need to understand why a Rougarou changes the way it does. I need to understand why the Yataveo fucking squishes the blood out on top of their metaphorical heads. Like, I need to understand this shit. You did a horrible job at giving me the answers I need, Jason. You did a great job with your research, and, like, you presented it beautifully. Like, 10 out of 10 on a podcast level. All right? But my own personal gratification here, you fucking failed.
On the next episode, we'll go find 5 fucking cryptids so that fucking Sip over here will be satisfied. We're gonna go find, improve, and trap fucking 5 cryptids.
Next episode, Sip gets wrung out like a fucking rag by a Yataveo.
And then on the next Shmoke show...
It's just going to be an hour of him laughing at my grave. Couple of tears thrown in just for good measure. Just to make me think that we were really friends.
You're dead.
But we both know I'm a fucking haunt your ass.
Nah. You fuck around with that, you end up in an object you don't want to be in, I assure you. You will be fucking a butt plug that gets donated to Goodwill.
Okay, but can we donate it to a Goodwill in, like, California? So, like, there's a chance I could end up in, like...
Ryan Reynolds.
Katie. I mean... That's... Ryan Reynolds is a hunk. Like, even your straight ass, like, you gotta admit, that's an attractive man.
Yeah. Super handsome. Yeah. Why you gotta come at me like that? My straight ass. Like, I'm gonna apologize for being straight. Yes, Ryan Reynolds is a very handsome man. It's 2022. Straight men are allowed to say that.
It's 2022, Jason. Straight white men aren't allowed to say shit.
Ryan Reynolds is hot. Internet breaks. Is that how that works?
Did we just get canceled?
No. Actually, I think we just got a sponsor.
Deadpool. Bro, I would shit.
Check out Deadpool in theaters. Rumored to be in Doctor Strange 2.
Is he? Is that a rumor?
Dude, motherfucker, everybody's rumored to be in Doctor Strange 2. Goddamn Elmo. Fucking.
Fuck Elmo. Oh yeah, but no, I like this. I kind of like this this setup.
Right? Like, because we all know about, like, Loch Ness Monster. We all know about Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti. What one am I missing? Skunk Ape. Names.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm going to challenge, I'm going to issue you an official challenge now. Right? Because if you guys haven't been able to, like, tell yet, he's more the cryptid guy. I'm more like the spirit-y type guy.
And we don't tell each other the episodes until they happen, except for him, because he's like a fucking 5-year-old at Christmas.
Well, you don't know my next episode.
Not yet, but it's only...
We have a week.
I'll know by Wednesday.
No, I'm gonna issue you a challenge, okay? Because
Challenge accepted.
I like this setup.
Don't fuck up my format. I have 3 other episodes.
No. It's fully in line with this. You know, you and I had spoken before about how it's a little harder to draw out an episode on a single cryptid.
Yeah.
Right. So like, I like what you've done here.
Thank you. Creative
solutions. And I think it works. So I'm going to challenge you to keep it up.
All right. You know what I'm going to challenge you to do? You see my 5. You bring 1.
Done.
No, I'm just kidding. Yours already run way too long. My butt hurts.
But no, because I'm honestly curious.
Oh, this could go on almost indefinitely. Like
that's the thing, you know, like
an index. Like I was telling Charlie before the show.
Sip. We don't use real names here.
I was telling Chuckles before the show. My first encounter with cryptozoology was when I was a young kid, and I saw the Loch Ness Monster on an episode of Unsolved Mysteries. And I was already, a little tiny kid, and I was big into dinosaurs. And this episode, I just watched it, and I was like, that's a motherfucking plesiosaur. And ever since then, I have loved this field. So I love bringing these things into light. Let me know, how many did you actually know? You knew 1? 2 technically, if you count. I don't really count the Whomping Willow, because you didn't really know about the Out-of-Bed. You just know the fucking car in Harry Potter.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the Rougarou was the only one of those that the jackalope I had heard of, obviously, but I didn't. I don't think I ever in my life would have considered it a cryptid until this conversation.
Yeah, and they actually, they taxidermy it.
Right.
So they have a lot of fun with it. I'm sure it's a huge tourist thing.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, SPV kind of explains it. Anything anybody ever saw.
Which, that was another...
And that embellished the fuck out of it.
Oh, yeah. But that kind of... that was very interesting to me. Like I said, I didn't realize the papilloma was, like, interspecies. That was a fun fact for me.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily like interspecies and that, like, obviously the papilloma is, but like because they have different pre-words, like it may be a completely different strain.
Oh, well, right. Yeah, I don't mean like you fuck a rabbit. I mean, I don't think human papillomavirus.
At least fuck a hare. It's a little bit bigger.
Obviously, I don't think that human papillomavirus could spread to a hare, but I mean the papillomavirus itself. I didn't realize that there were other species that could be affected by the papillomavirus. I didn't know that. I'm also not a virologist.
Not with that attitude.
But no, I'm legitimately curious as to how many cryptids are actually out there.
Oh man, gotta catch them all.
Right, well, right. That's what I'm saying. You know, what can we get to? How far can we go until you repeat?
Depends on how much of an asshole I want to be. Because
Okay.
if I say like, you know,
Look, we can't go from Sasquatch to Bigfoot.
And then let me tell you a little story about the abominable snowman.
But what about the Yeti? No,
Skunk
it's,
ape?
no, I mean, obviously different Now, I would cut some slack between a Rougarou and a werewolf. But that's because, in my opinion, they are different.
Okay. Yeah, so
But, again, I haven't done the in-depth research you did. But
not as much for me.
Yeah, obviously, you know, Yeti and Abominable Snowman and Bigfoot, they're all the same fucking thing. Right?
Basically.
That I'm not going to cut you any slack on.
But this is 5 cryptids not named Bigfoot, so...
Okay, so we can't have any of them.
No, we're not going to have any of them.
No Yeti, no Abominable Snowman, no Sasquatch, all right.
No. And we're not going to have anything along the lines of, goddamn Nessie or Tessie or any other fucking, you know,
So nothing that's been done to death, essentially.
Yeah, man, I want to shine a light on some cool shit, man.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Come on, man. There was a motherfucking half cat, half snake fucking lizard in this motherfucking category.
Well, see, and that's what I'm planning on doing for mine too. Granted, mine are more single topic episodes. My first 2 episodes, the second one of my episodes will be out soon. We'll hope. It'll be out by the time this video is out, but. It's
out. Check it out.
We apologize for the delay. There was issues with me. There was issues with our editor. There were issues all around.
We're working on it.
But my first 2 episodes were both pretty well known cases in the supernatural world.
I didn't know that the Amityville Horror was essentially a fraud.
Yeah. And
so, it's well known from that perspective, from like a Hollywood perspective, but
right.
you did shine a light in terms of what Hollywood doesn't show you. That I don't even want to call it like the more mundane.
Yeah.
But you really brought it down to earth, unfortunately. And you were like, let me take a shit all over this story. Amityville Horror, everybody involved is a lying piece of shit.
Oh, I didn't quite go that far.
I got it on video.
But no, that being said, you know, obviously I'm still gonna touch on some of the more well-known cases because everybody loves some. You know, there are some cases that are just winners in this world. You know, but that being said, like my next episode, which I'm not gonna tell you what it is yet.
I swear, man, he thinks there's a Super Nintendo under the fucking tree every fucking week.
But that being said, my next episode that I'm planning is the hardcore fans of the unexplainable are going to be familiar with it. But like people like you who are not
people like me,
not super versed in these kinds of things.
Ouch.
I just mean like I know this is something you don't know much about. Like, for a fact, I know it. And I feel like most people aren't going to have that same amount of insight.
Now I'm interested.
You should be. Because it's a fucking roller coaster.
Like the Rougarou.
Full
motherfucking circle.
Well, I would imagine the Rougarou has many loops and circles and... It's a roller coaster joke.
Make a note to insert a womp womp noise here. So that's what I got for you guys today. That was 5 cryptids that aren't named Bigfoot. How many did you know?
2.
Sip here, also known as Charles Xavier, really let himself go.
Calm down, Jason Bourne with no muscle mass.
I think that was a compliment.
No muscle mass, bro.
He's still a dead handsome man.
Jason Voorhees with no machete.
Words hurt.
Oh.
But
You guys know what to do. Give that like button a little boop.
do all the things.
Subscribe.
That way you don't miss shit. And we'll see you next time. Love you.